grammar without any effort. Welcome to your digital classroom. I am Saji KV and you are watching my channel, The Eureka. Let's learn transformational sentences, part 2. Today, let's learn the methods of removing as soon as or when by using no sooner than, hardly when, barely when, scarcely when. Let us analyze a sentence. As soon as the alarm rings, I get up. Now here we have to remove as soon as and use no sooner than, hardly when, barely when, scarcely when. Now look at the sentence. No sooner does the alarm ring than I get up. No sooner does the alarm ring than I get up. Now you should remember, whenever we use no sooner than, hardly when, barely when, scarcely when, we should use auxiliary verb according to the tense of the sentence just after these words. We should use the auxiliary verb according to the tense of the sentence just after the first part of this conjunction. These are the conjunction in pairs, correlative conjunctions. And after the first part of the conjunction, we should use auxiliary verb according to the tense of the sentence. And the given sentence is in simple present tense. How do you find out the auxiliary verb of a sentence? You merely change the subordinate clause into negative. You get to the auxiliary verb. For example, as soon as the alarm rings, turn that sentence into negative. As soon as the alarm does not ring. You see, does not. And here, does is the auxiliary verb. And we use here, when we use no sooner than, hardly when, barely when, scarcely when, the auxiliary verb after the first part of the conjunction. No sooner does the alarm ring than I get up. Hardly does the alarm ring when I get up. Barely does the alarm ring when I get up. Scarcely does the alarm ring when I get up. Here you find the construction of the sentence is one and the same. You have to write the auxiliary verb just after the first part of the conjunction according to the tense. That is to say, auxiliary verb should be used before the subject. And let's examine another sentence. As soon as you finish the work, you can go home. Now, use in place of as soon as, no sooner than. No sooner do you finish the work than you can go home. Hardly do you finish your work when you can go home. Barely do you finish your work when you can go home. Scarcely do you finish your work when you can go home. So here we find we have used auxiliary verb do because the verb should agree with the subject. Auxiliary verb should be written according to the subject. You is the subject here, and if we turn that sentence into negative, you do not finish the work. So here, you do not finish the work, we get the auxiliary verb do and use the auxiliary verb do just after the first part of these conjunctions. And now, let's examine another sentence. As soon as the teacher entered the class, students stood up. Now, let's remove as soon as using no sooner than, hardly when, barely when, scarcely when. No sooner did the teacher enter the class than the students stood up. Hardly did the teacher enter the class when the students stood up. Barely did the teacher enter the class when the students stood up. Scarcely did the teacher enter the class when students stood up. So here you find we have used the auxiliary verb did because the given sentence is in simple past, and therefore we have used did. The teacher did not enter the class. So did is the auxiliary verb, and thus we have used did just after the first part of the conjunction. Now let's examine one more sentence. As soon as he ate his lunch, he left the place. No sooner did he eat his lunch than he left the place. Now here a time gap is indicated. Therefore, past perfect is preferred. When there is a time gap between two actions, past perfect is preferred. So it is better to construct a sentence. No sooner had he eaten lunch than he left from here. Hardly had he eaten the lunch when he left from here. Barely had he eaten lunch when he left from here. Scarcely had he eaten lunch when he left from here. So here you find the time gap between two actions. Time gap can be sensed in this sentence. When we can sense the time gap between two actions, then we use past perfect. Otherwise, if time gap is not there, we use merely simple past. Now, let's examine one more sentence. As soon as the game was over, they went away. Now, let us write the answer of it. No sooner was the game over than they left from here. So here, no sooner was the game over. You turn that sentence into negative. The game was not over. Therefore, no sooner was the game over than they left from here. Hardly was the game over when they left from here. Barely was the game over when they left from here. Scarcely was the game over when they left from here. So here, in order to find the auxiliary verb, here actually is a main verb, but you turn that sentence into negative. The game was not over. Here we cannot use no sooner did game is over. Sentence is wrong. So you have to use no sooner was the game over than they left from here. Now let's examine one more sentence. When the exam is over, the students are free. When the exam is over, students are free. No sooner is the exam over than the students are free. Hardly is the exam over when the students are free. Barely is the exam over when the students are free. Scarcely is the exam over when the students are free. Here you find, see how the sentence is constructed. Here sentence is in present tense, so we have used present tense. When the sentence is in past tense, use past tense. Thus here we complete the learning of removing as soon as or when by using no sooner than, hardly when, barely when, scarcely when. Remember the conjunction in pairs. So always with no sooner than to be used, with hardly when to be used, with barely when to be used, with scarcely when to be used. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, kindly subscribe, like and share.